episode of This versus That, where we look at different kinds of foods, their nutritional fact, as well as their ingredients. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at baby cereals. Yes, you heard me, baby cereals. And I just have to say, there's a lot of work in trying to find the information for some of these cereals, especially because most of them are actually imported. So some of them are not even in English. Guys, it was a lot of work. Anyway, my name is Ifeanyi Omesiete. I'm a pediatric nutritionist, which means that I practice clinically. My main job is to help provide nutritional interventions for children of all ages. But I've decided to do this series so that I can help you make better and more informed decisions about your children. So let's get into it. So I decided to label these cereals, cereal 1, cereal 2. This particular one was so distinct. This is custard, a particular brand. Cereal 4 and cereal 5. And the reason for that was they kind of look the same, and I couldn't, go out and exactly buy boxes of them. But at least you get the idea. So let's get into exactly what are in these cereals. As you can see, I've got 5 different kinds of the common, and I mean the most common baby cereals that are out there. So we'll take it one at a time from number 1 all the way down to number 5. And then you can tell me whether you think it's healthy, whether it's not healthy, what are the benefits, what are not the benefits. Anyway, let's just get into it. So I've got the first cereal. I think I showed you what it looked like. That's cereal 1. Can't really tell. Like I said, they kind of all look the same. All right, so let's look at the ingredients that are in cereal 1. It's got whole grain oat flour and oat flour. I don't really know what that means. Whole grain oat flour and oat flour? They know. Potassium phosphate, calcium carbonate, vitamin C, there's iron, zinc sulfate, vitamin E, niacin, niacinamide. That's what it says, niacinamide. I've never heard of that. I've usually heard of niacin, but never niacinamide. Vitamin B2, B1, B6, folic acid, B12. Okay, so those are all the ingredients that are in this particular cereal. Now, this particular cereal, you can start from 6 months. That's exactly what was written on the box. And there were no indications of like any allergens or like cross-contamination of any sort. And I usually say these in my video, but I'll say it again. When you're reading ingredients in any kind of food label, the first ingredient is usually the largest, okay? And then it sort of goes down the list, decreasing in quantity in that particular cereal. So whatever is the first ingredient, just know that it's the largest quantity in that food, okay? So looking at cereal 1 again, we can see that whole grain oats and oats flour, whole grain oats flour and oats flour are the largest ingredients in this particular cereal, followed by potassium phosphate and calcium carbonate. Now, potassium phosphate and calcium carbonate are usually preservatives to keep the cereal for a long period of time. And then they have added vitamins like vitamin E, niacinamide, vitamin B, iron, which are really essential, especially when you're moving from, breast milk or formula only to now introducing solids. So that's that about the ingredients about this cereal. Now let's look at the serving size. The serving size in this cereal says a 1/4 cup. Now when I was doing my research, I found something that was really interesting. And what I found was different cereals have different serving sizes. So they're not the typical serving size of like a tablespoon or a teaspoon. It's almost like they kind of developed their own to kind of fit the serving size of what they were selling, because for this particular cereal, it says a 1/4 cup, which is about 15 grams, which is typically about 1 tablespoon. So I'm assuming like whatever cup they used, they just measured it by weight, and that's how they came up with their own serving size. So like I said, this is a 1/4 cup and it's about 15 grams. Usually these cereals come with their own spoons, so you don't have to do too much math. They usually come with their own like measuring spoon to sort of help you with the measuring process. Okay, so let's look at the nutritional facts. Now there was a lot, there was a lot written on that box, but I just wanted you to get the main things. So the total carbohydrates is about 10 grams. And if a serving size is about 15 grams, that means majority of this is actually carbs. And then there was protein, which is about 2 grams. Then I found something that was really interesting about this cereal. It says that there's added sugars. Now, at no point in the ingredients does it say that there are added sugars, right? You read the ingredient list, but it says that there's a possibility of having added sugars. However, it's less than 1 gram. And then fiber is also less than 1 gram. I'm concerned about the fiber content because when you start introducing solids, one of the biggest issues that parents have is constipation. So you want to make sure that if you decide that you're going to give this particular kind of cereal, you want to truly make sure that you're giving cereals along with fiber sources for that meal, because I can guarantee you that nobody is giving 15 grams per serving. You're usually giving more than that, and most of the time we tend to add milk. You want to kind of add other things, so just be mindful of that with this cereal. Now let's move on to cereal number 2. Okay, cereal number 2 has wheat flour, about 36.3%, whole milk solids, sugar, skimmed milk, malted extract solids, maltodextrin, okay, carob bean gum, vanilla flavor, burnt sugar, lactose and then sodium ascorbate, because sodium ascorbate is one compound, and then it has lactose, which means that there's some milk in here. Well, they did mention that there was skimmed milk. Iron pyrophosphate, retinol acetate, thiamine hydrochloride, pyridoxine hydrochloride, copper carbonate, folic acid, and cholecalciferol. All right, guys. I feel like that was a mouthful, but let me just give you the full gist. All those long words that you heard me read out, like iron pyrophosphate, retinol acetate, thiamine hydrochloride, all those kind of things are just the chemical names for vitamins and minerals, okay? Don't allow them to over confuse you, which is another thing I want to talk about. It is important that when you're reading labels, because the truth of the matter is that a lot of us don't have a chemistry background or like a biology background or anything of that sort. So half of the time, these things sound like Spanish or French or just some kind of foreign language. I want you to know that when they start listing them out in their chemical names and chemical compounds, more than often they're referring to the added like pre-vitamin mix that they've mixed specifically for that cereal. So that's what all that big English is. Again, remember that the higher the nutrient value is, that means it's the first ingredient. So here it's wheat flour, whole milk solids, and then sugar. Now, I'm going to point out something that's really important that we don't pay attention to. Did you know that there are multiple names for sugar? I'm talking about almost 20 different kinds of names that they give sugar. Let me give you the list that's on this. There is sugar, there is malted extract solids, there is maltodextrin, there is also burnt sugar. That's four different variations of sugar content in this particular cereal. I think that's alarming, but hey, it's your choice to make that decision based on what you want to feed your child on this particular brand. All right, so the nutritional facts for this cereal were not listed. Goofy, right? I know. There were no necessarily any nutritional facts listed on this particular cereal, so you kind of want to look out for that. Some cereals don't always list out the nutritional facts. Doesn't mean that it's bad, doesn't mean that the brand is not good. It just means that maybe they just didn't feel the need. Hey, they've listed out exactly everything that's in the pack, so why do we need that? That's really up to you. So that's that on this second particular cereal. Like I said, I can't give you any more information because I didn't get any from the packaging. All right, let's move on to the third one. Now this one, I get questions a lot like a lot. People ask me questions about this so much. I keep wondering, like, what is the big deal about this particular kind of cereal? Well, here it is. It's custard. Now, let me tell you something. When I was doing the shopping to try and find cereals that I could explain to you, and I found custard, I was shocked by the constituents and the color. Because in my mind, I was kind of like, this looks like chalk. But I guess by the time you make it, it kind of comes out in a different color, because I've seen what custard looks like after it's made. So it was really interesting to see what this looked like prior to being made into the cereal that is so familiar. Now, of course, custard that's the generic name. There is 1,000,001 different brands, and I saw quite a few in different ones, but I picked up one that I thought was really interesting, and I'm going to read off the nutritional facts for you. Okay, so we've got edible maize starch, milk powder, sugar, sodium chloride, milk flavor, tetrazine, and sunset yellow. I think that is a lot of things for this it's like pure white, like it's a very pure white color. And when I was doing this research and trying to figure out which of the cereals or which brands that I would pick out for you, one of the things that struck me about this particular cereal is the ingredient tetrazine. Tetrazine is a synthetic sunset lemony yellow color that's added to food. So essentially it's a food coloring. Another name for tetrazine is E102. If you've listened to any of my videos, I've defined that E numbers are kind of just the easier or shorter way of naming some of these long-winded words that most people can't say. Now, here's the concerning thing about tetrazine, or tartrazine, whichever name you prefer. The problem with it is that excessive intake or continuous exposure to this particular substance, because it is synthetic, it's not natural, there are things that can occur. So there could be blood vision, there's hyperactivity, there's anxiety, migraines, because it does mess with the neurological system of the body. However, it depends on the consumption of the individual. And there isn't a lot of research that has come out on this to clarify some of these implications. So it's just, data here, some data here, some research here, some research here. However, one of the things that is conclusive is that tetrazine is actually known to be a carcinogen. So it's important to take note of this word. Carcinogen simply means things that trigger cancer. They cause cancerous cells to develop in the body. So in buying any of these baby food brands, and you do find this particular substance called tetrazine, that's kind of what makes it yellow. That's kind of what gives custard its yellow. Apart from sunset yellow, which again is another food coloring or food additive, that's exactly what gives custard that rich yellow color. Now, tetrazine can actually be found in other things. It can be found in biscuits, can be found in candy, can be found in chewing gum, and quite a few other things. So again, it's the consumption level that can cause some of these symptoms to occur. And so you kind of want to be mindful of that with your child. Okay, so let's move on to the next cereal. Cereal number 4. Now, cereal number 4, I think this one kind of just blew me right out of the park. Not only was it very, very hard to find the ingredients for this cereal, but it's imported. Now, I know some of these cereals that I've listed out here are actually made here in Nigeria, but this particular one is completely imported. In fact, let me give you something that I found really interesting. It's in Portuguese. Even on the packaging, it's in Portuguese. So of course, I needed to bring it to you in English, because most of us speak English, but I kind of wanted you to know how hard it is to find some of these nutritional facts for these foods, and why it's really, really important that you are conscious of looking out for these things and trying to find the information for yourself. Now, I know these videos will not cover every single kind of cereal, but it kind of gives you an idea of what to actually be looking out for, right? I hope so. So let's move on to cereal number 4. Cereal number 4 has rice flour, sugar, apple, bananas, disodium phosphate, calcium carbonate, vitamin C, B6, vitamin E, B12, B3, A, folic acid, vitamin D, and then the minerals that are present are iron, zinc, and flavoring. Now, here's the part that really got me about this particular cereal. Apart from the hard work I needed to do to find out the ingredients of this cereal, listen to this. Now, allergens that could be present in this cereal: rye, milk, soya, wheat, oats, and barley derivatives. Now, here's the catch. This particular cereal has variants. I think it's got about maybe 3 or 4 different variants that are currently being sold in Nigeria. And in those variants, you find some of these other ingredients like the rye, the milk, the soya, the wheat, the oats, and the barley derivatives. Again, comes back to that conversation that I was sort of hinting at in the beginning about things like cross-contamination. Now, if you listen right from the beginning, you would find that one of the first 2 cereals that I talked about, I think it was cereal number 1, didn't list anything about allergens at all. I also think the same thing happened with cereal number 2 as well as number 3. However, cereal number 4 has taken it upon themselves to list the allergens that could potentially be found, which means that if you have a child who could potentially have an allergic reaction to any of the contents that are in these cereals, they're kind of telling you that it's a possibility. Although this particular cereal is supposed to be a rice cereal. This is why you need to read your labels, guys. This is why you need to read your labels. I'm only giving you a preview of some of the common things, but I need you to take this kind of instructions to heart, because they just listed 5 different things that is not present in this cereal itself, but can be found because it's being manufactured in a factory that has different variants. Take that into consideration. Now let's look at the nutritional fact of this particular cereal. Here you have 3 tablespoons, which according to their serving size is 22 grams, okay? Now they have 20 grams of carbohydrates, and remember this serving size is 22 grams. That's the expected amount you are supposed to feed your child per serving. So if you double up on a serving, for example, let's say you do 6 tablespoons of this cereal, that means you're going to double up on the carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and things like that present in the cereal. So it's got 20 grams of carbohydrates, 12 grams of protein, no fats, no fiber. 22% of the daily requirements of iron can be found in this cereal. 23% of vitamin A can be found. 22% of vitamin C, and then 34% of vitamin D. So in your daily requirements, you get 34% of vitamin D, 22% of vitamin A, of iron, and so on and so forth. So they've done their due diligence by giving us a lot of information and a lot of things to think about, which half of us don't do when we want to make these purchases. So I'm challenging you to do that. Now I've got one more cereal to go, and then we'll have a little chit chat about what happens when you actually want to transition and things that you should kind of look out for when it comes to buying baby cereal. All right, so cereal number 5 is manufactured here in Nigeria, but the company is a global company. All right, so the ingredients include wheat flour, skimmed milk powder, sucrose, palm oilin, and then it has acidity regulators, which are calcium carbonate, and then there's maltodextrin. Vitamins include, it just says vitamins. It doesn't even tell us what vitamins are present. There is ferrous fumarate, vanillin, zinc sulfate, bifidus culture, potassium iodide. And then it says contains gluten and milk and may contain soya. Again, another brand that manufactures different variants, and so it's letting you know that there may be some traces of some of those ingredients in this particular cereal. Now let's talk about one particular ingredient that's in this cereal that I found really interesting. It's called bifidus culture. Bifidus culture simply means probiotics. So it's got beneficial bacteria that when you ingest this particular cereal, your child is expected to get that. Now, it would be in the dry form, I'm assuming so, but that's essentially what the brand is saying, that there is bifidus bacteria in the cereal. Apart from that, they've said that 1 serving per day is about 50 grams per pack. So if you buy 50 grams, you would get 1 serving of this particular cereal. Now let's look at the nutritional facts. Oh, before we look at the nutritional facts, let's finish up on the ingredients. So in the ingredients, there's sucrose, there's hydrogenated oil, which was palm oiling, and there's also maltodextrin. Once again, another baby cereal that has 2 different kinds of sugar contents in there. I hope you're paying attention. All right, let's look at the nutritional facts. So it says there's about 5 grams of fat in here, 7.5 grams of protein, 34 grams of carbohydrates. Remember, the serving size is 50 grams. Fiber is about 1.4 grams. So in this whole pack, only 1.4 grams is of fiber. Interesting. So again, carbohydrates clearly is the largest portion of this. And I hope you're really paying attention to, I feel like I know I'm saying a lot of things at the same time. We can definitely rewind, come back, try and catch up on the information, but this information is out there for you. So again, paying attention to the instructions that are written on packaging is so important, because you cannot sue these companies. You cannot hold them liable for anything that might happen to your child, because they've done their due diligence about listing it out for you. Now, there was something else that was interesting about cereal number 5, which I didn't see in any of the other cereals that I had. Here's this. It says, breast milk is the best food for your child. Breastfeeding should continue as much as possible after the introduction of weaning foods. This product should not be used to feed infants under 6 months of age. I hope you heard that loud and clear. 6 months of age. Don't give this type of cereal to any child who is younger than 6 months. Now, I get this question a lot. Oh, okay, can I start giving pap from 4 months, 5 months, soon? I don't think my child is getting enough breast milk. I don't think they're taking enough formula. Can I go ahead and start cereals with chews? Can I try? This brand has clearly stated that breast milk is the best thing for your child. So think about that. They've taken into consideration the health of your child, as well as the protection of the company itself in regards to you giving it to a child who is younger than 6 months. So I hope this was another enlightening series. As promised, I said I would give some tidbits about things that you should pay attention to. So there are 3 things you kind of want to pay attention to when you want to start solids, and I did mention that I would give some tips. So I have 3 of them. Start early. 6 months is 6 months. Don't start 4 months, don't start 5 months, start at 6 months. The reason for that is because a lot of the digestive enzymes needed to be able to digest the food hasn't been fully developed. So you kind of don't want to be dilly-dallying around that, because you don't want issues with constipation, you don't want the child to have issues with gastric reflux, and most importantly, you kind of want them to be sitting upright on their own, unsupported, which means that their system is also developing. The second thing is you want to start small. Don't go overboard. Don't go trying to give the child 5 different cereals all in 1 week. Aim to do things simple and small. If they agree to take 2 or 3 tablespoons, that's it. That's incredible. They've done a good job. Remember, 6 months till 1 year is a long time. It's a whole 6 months. There's no need rushing to get anywhere, right? You have all of their life to try and get them to eat a variety of meals. So start small and gradually increase. And then the last one is the right mindset. Feeding is work. As you can see, I've done a whole lot of research to be able to bring you this information today. It is paramount that you also do your research in order to understand who your child is, find out what works, find out what doesn't, and don't get frustrated in the process, because frustration leads negative energy gives negative vibes. You kind of see where I'm going with all of this. So have the right mindset, kind of focus on the important things, which is the nutrients that your child is going to get. All right, so start early, start small, and start with the right mindset. Those are my 3 tips that I would give you. If you want more information or there's other kinds of foods you want me to talk about, please let me know in the comment section. I will be reading. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. All right, till then, my name is Ifeoma Omesiete. I'm a pediatric nutritionist, and this was brought to you to ensure that you can make informed decisions for your child. Bye, till next time. Hi, Ify here. Thank you for watching another episode of This versus That. If you don't want to miss a single episode, click on the subscribe button right now so you get a notification anytime a new video is uploaded. If you would like to collaborate on these videos or sponsor any of these videos, you can reach me via email at thekidnutritionist@gmail.com. I look forward to doing these videos and I hope you enjoy watching them as well.